What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Today we have the preparation video talking about the Pirate Alliance Kizuna Clash versus Chopper. We're going to go through all the different variations that we have, and we're going to have 3 separate teams against each of these fights. We've got an accessible team, a team that uses, relatively, powerful characters, and then a team with some of the booster characters, and a team that I might be using. I'm still not 100% set on the teams that I will be using, but I'll be showing, boosted squads in this video today. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So the first team that we're looking at is going to be the quote-unquote accessible team versus Dex. We're going to go through all the Dex variations first. With this team, we want to be building, versus the Dex fight with Free Spirit, Powerhouse, and Cerebral. Those are the characters that receive cooldown. Now, Battle 2 has a gimmick that we have never seen in a quest before. When you reach Battle 2, the enemy is going to inflict you with Nullify status effect in terms of attack up. What this means is while this is inflicted to your crew, you're not allowed to activate an attack boosting special. So it's kind of weird. It looks like you're not allowed to activate any attack buff while that is active, which obviously means that Boa Hancock as the friend captain is going to be very, very useful, as her special ability will allow you to get a strength, free spirit, and shooter 2.5 times attack boost until your health is reduced by 3,000. So you use that on battle 1, you carry it into battle 2, and you carry it all the way to battle 3, all the way along. You'll have that 2.5 times attack boost. Also during the Kizuna, Boa Hancock, the Bonnie, and the Pudding should all be Rainbow Affinity, so they should have super effective type damage, which is really, really powerful here, of course. So utilizing a team with Boa Hancock as the friend captain is going to be very, very useful. On the final boss fight, the enemy is immune to everything except for Love, which is with Boa Hancock special, but you don't really need to do that. Also, you can use an Ignite special, and you can use Defense Down, so that's really cool. That's actually a really, really neat effect. So you can go ahead and use a Defense Down conditional boost, which we will be with the Mole here. Mole has a special that if we have a Free Spirit captain, we can go ahead and get a defense down conditional boost. Now, we'll also have to deal with bind. So the top left, middle right, bottom left. So in this crew, the top left, which is Boa, middle right, which is Ace, and then bottom left, which is going to be Mole. Also, 5 turns of paralysis, and then after level 30, there is an additional 1 turn of bind and 5 turns of defense up. So the Gin and Krieg get around the paralysis and the defense up. The bind is really useful because we have the Jinbei. Jinbei can remove that for us, as well as the Rayleigh support attached to Luffy. But you got to make sure you use the specials in the right order first. Ideally, we want the color affinity of Boa. So that is kind of unfortunate that we have to use Jinbei special, because Jinbei does give color affinity, but ideally you can use Boa's super type before moving into the final boss fight. So that's the way around that. And then of course you want to use Luffy's special before you use Gin and Krieg, because you want Luffy's orb boost over Gin and Krieg's orb boost. You'll have the attack boost from Boa, you'll have orb boost from Luffy, color affinity from the super type, and then also the conditional boost from the Mole. So this is a pretty decent team that can get through this quest. Another team that should be able to get the job done here is we're going to be using Odin as our captain. We do have K-Dad as a sub here, because we can then activate the super type of our K-Dad, of our Odin, which is pretty good, giving some base attack boost to both of our captains. Also generating some Wano slots, of course. Remember, we're going to use Boa once again on battle 1, carry through to the boss stage. You can use Odin's special ability, and then go ahead and use K-Dad's special. And because everyone on the team is a strength unit, K-Dad will change all of our slots into matching, all of them being strength. Odin makes them into Wano, works out pretty effectively there. We have the Rebecca, which can give us the defense down conditional boost, so long as we have max HP. Gin and Krieg once again to get around the paralysis and the defense up, and then also the Sengoku, who gets around 6 turns of bind. So he will not be binded, so he can use that to our advantage to get around that. Of course, I think Sengoku does do an orb boosting effect. I think you have to have a certain captain, maybe. If captain is Fighter or Cerebral, yeah, you get an orb boost. That's fine. You don't need to worry about that. If it was the case, though, you'd use Odin special first, then you'd use Sengoku. Either way, it actually works out pretty good, and this should do a lot of damage as well. And plus, you have the final tap of K-Dad if you need to activate it as well. And then the team that's going to be using boosters that I was able to pull, we're going to be using the double Boa Hancock. We also have the Bonnie, of course, and Bonnie's really good. She gets around paralysis and defense up, as well as changes all of our slots into matching, so it actually works out pretty awesome. And we also have Odin as well, because Odin will be able to give us Wano slots. Also, his orb boost is more preferable over the Bonnies, and also with the support of Raizo, when we're inflicted with bind, he actually does remove 1 turn of it, which means that we only need another 5 turns removal, which is why we have Marco. He does remove that. He also provides a chain boosting effect, and then we also have the sub of Queen, and Queen can actually give us a defense down conditional boost with the support of Jack. That will enable us to do that. One thing I just realized though is that this actually doesn't activate the super type of Boa Hancock, so we actually have to change one of these characters out. That shouldn't be too much of an issue though, but as long as we can fit in a Luffy character, that's probably going to be the best bet in order to activate that super type, which can give us color affinity in order to get through this pretty efficiently. Alright, so now we're moving on to the versus Psy fight. Now this is definitely the most difficult of all of the fights, because you'll have cooldown for strength, quick, and int, and then battle 2, another very annoying gimmick. As soon as you reach battle 2, all of your colored slots, all your type slots are changed into super block slots. Now this is a big problem because there's not a lot of ways to get around super block slots, so what you need to do is you need to enter battle 2 with a full board of Recovery, Tandem, Semler, Rainbow, Wano slots. You need one of those subsidiary slots that are not type slots so that you don't get them changed into super block, otherwise it's going to be very difficult to get around. Now actually one thing that can actually work is the fact that Boa, her special does make all of those slots that typically reduce damage, not reduce damage for 3 turns. So that's technically one way that you can actually get around it. Having neutral slots and having, you know, Boa, which is super effective against all types with her normal attacks, that technically actually does get around it pretty efficiently. But anyways, the way that we're getting around it here is that we'll be using Corazon on stage 1, and for 3 turns we get empty slots. We'll reach battle 2, we do not get any super block slots, and then we can kill that stage pretty efficiently, and then moving on to the boss stage. Now the boss stage has a lot of things going on, right? So on the boss stage, there's going to be an immunity to everything except for Love, Ignite, and Delay, which is why we have Katarina Devon, because she does do a self-proccing delayed conditional. We get block slots, which is why we have Luffy, and we'll talk about him in a moment. Now there's also special reverse for all of the subs, so your captains are not affected by special reverse, but it's only the subs. And then we also have 1 turn of special bind, 1 turn of resilience on the enemy, 1 turn of paralysis, 1 turn of attack down, and then there's 4 turns of bind on the left side of your crew. Then after a certain HP threshold, level 30, you get plus 4 turns of bind, so it becomes 8, and then there's 8 turns of despair. So it ends up equaling out to 5 turns of bind and despair total after level 30. Now, the way that we're getting around it is because with Ace's captain effect, right? His captain effect will resist the special bind and the special reverse. Now, after level 30, the despair is inflicted, but typically, in my mind, usually when you reach past level 30, you'll get all the initial gimmicks done, and then the enemy will say, you know, HP threshold increased, additional gimmicks, and then you get inflicted with despair. So realistically, I think this should still work. If it doesn't work like that, then obviously that sucks, but I'm pretty sure it does work that way, which means that Ace will still work. We still need to remove the 5 turns of bind and despair though. Luckily, Ace does remove all the bind with his special, which is great. But also we have Luffy. Now Luffy has such good synergy because he can go ahead and remove despair by 4 turns and also changes all slots including block into tandem, and then you'll also get a 3 times chain lock. So that's so good because you'll have the full board of those tandem slots, and then with 6 plus Ace you get all of the beneficial effects where you can get the your actual chain lock will be buffed into 3.75 times instead. Now, one thing that you can do, we have Rayleigh to remove an additional turn or the additional 2 turns of despair, but if you actually have Halloween Law on Luffy, you can get that orb boost buffed as well. So depends on what kind of team you want to go with. We have the special bind obviously is going to be a bit of annoying, but we have the Ace to deal with that. The enemy resilience is also kind of annoying too, which is why we have Arena Mihawk. He does remove the resilience, and he also provides a chain lock. Now, the attack down is also going to be a bit of an issue, as well as the paralysis. But remember, we do have Corazon and Law, and their superclass special, which we activate essentially on turn 1, will remove 3 turns of paralysis and attack down. So that is the way that we're getting around that. So this actually deals with everything so long as the despair and the additional bind occurs after the first hit of gimmicks. If that is the case, then yeah, this is going to work effectively. This is going to work really, really well. And I don't really think it's like, this will actually last for a pretty long time actually. You have a Kino, of course, for an orb boost, massive attack boost, massive chain lock, color affinity via that support. It's not the best, but we also have a delayed conditional boost, so this actually works really, really well, and I don't see it being an issue so long as the gimmicks work as I think they do. Alright, so this is a bit of a weird one. This time around, we're going to be using the V4 Big Mom, I think. This is the one that came out earlier in 2022, alongside Marco, right before the anniversary. Now, the reason why we're using this is because at the start of the quest with her captain ability, it automatically launches her special, and her special gives us a full board of Semler slots. And remember, Semler cannot be changed by the enemy. So that we can have that at the start of the quest, and we don't have a way to lock the slots, so we're probably just going to waste 2 slots to kill turtles, which is not that big of a deal in all honesty. And then we will deal with Battle 2 pretty effectively. We have, you know, the super classes of Big Mom, or the super types, should we say, to give us an attack boost on one of the stages, so that's not going to be a problem. But then the boss stage, we've got obviously a lot of gimmicks. We have the support of the Sweet Commanders to get around the special bind. Now, and this character is going to be so clutch here, which is the Yasop, the Halloween Yasop, because he actually resists special bind and special reverse, so you can use his special to deal with special reverse for the rest of your team. He also gets rid of the 5 turns of bind and despair. So after level 30, he literally deals with all of the additional bind and despair for us. He deals with the special reverse. The special bind is with the support of Sweet Commanders. The bind obviously is dealt with. The paralysis is going to be dealt with this chopper support attached to Sanji. It gets rid of 1 turn of paralysis and attack down. So the only thing that we have to get rid of is resilience, which is what this Perospero does. And this character also activates the super type special of Big Mom. Does resist resilience, but of course you could have like Halloween Mihawk, not Halloween Mihawk, but support Mihawk, which attaches to an int free spirit or an int slasher character. That would also work out pretty well. And we don't have a chain boosting effect, which is why we have the dual black bit. I mean, I'm just chucking him in here just for the sake of it, but you can literally use anything else. Sanji here does give color affinity for the crew. And then on the last stage, we do get block slots again. So Big Mom special can give us, you know, the Semler slots, the orb boost, super type gives us attack boost. It seems fine. It's not the best team out there. I mean, to be honest, we don't even need to remove resilience because Big Mom's end of turn damage will also deal with the resilience. So you don't even need to do that, but you do need a character to activate the super type because it's going to be pretty useful, of course. But overall, just a really fun team that I'll probably try out and use in the video. So now we have our booster team versus Sai, and like this one is like pretty weird, but it actually works out really well. So the way that it works is we're using the Straw Hat special to get around the rainbow slots, or to use their rainbow slots to get around the super block slots on Battle 2. I mean, it's not the end of the world, to be honest, you know, because Boa does make the super block slots count as neutral, for example. But that's going to be fine. Luffy, we use it on stage 1, we get rainbow slots, we carry the slots into Battle 2. We kill Battle 2. On the boss stage, there's going to be block slots, and Bonnie's special gets around block slots. There's going to be special reverse and the bind and despair, which of course we have Yasop to deal with that. Now, in terms of an orb boosting special, we've got the Odin here. Now, Odin isn't going to have type advantage, but he'll give us the Wano slots, which is great. And his orb boost is far superior than what Bonnie is able to give us. Plus, we have the K-Dad support, which gets around the attack down that gets inflicted to the crew. The paralysis is dealt with via the Bonnie special, and then we do have a way to get around special bind, which is what the Sabo support is able to do. This Sabo support is so busted, attaching to Luffy crew, getting rid of despair, special bind, defense up. You know, he's just so powerful. And then that pretty much deals with everything. And obviously after level 30, Yasop still deals with all the gimmicks, which is fantastic. We have attack boost with Boa, color affinity with Boa, orb boost with Odin. And of course the resilience, that's obviously the other thing we have to get rid of. Luffy's final tap deals with the resilience, so we don't even have to worry about that either. So yeah, this is a pretty effective team. And now we get to talk about the infight. Now this one is really bizarre, right? So the infight, we want to build probably side characters. Free Spirit, Powerhouse, and Shooter receive cooldown. Now, Battle 2 is also very interesting. There's 10 turns of Rainbow Shield. Now, the really cool thing about this fight is there's like multiple different ways you can get around it. You can just straight up remove the Rainbow Shield with a special like Jinbei, like the new Legend Jinbei from Treasure Map. He will deal with that pretty effectively. But you can also use the interrupt of the enemy to your advantage, because it mentions if you use an interrupt that is Love or Petrify, then it says that it completely removes the enemy's damage reduction. So yeah, you can remove 10 turns of damage reduction or just use a Love effect. and then you just kill the enemy. So that's awesome. And it says that when you defeat the enemy on battle 2, they give you matching slots. So I don't know what the deal with that is. That's kind of weird, but you get matching slots, which is awesome. And then when you reach the last stage, like, there's really not a lot to talk about. You know, they have an immunity, they do damage, so it means if you use Boa Special on battle 2 or battle 1, when you reach the last stage, the damage will actually remove your, attack boost, your 2.5 attack boost. But they have 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, and that does become 6 after level 30. And they also have 8 turns of Despair, 5 turns of Paralysis. So Chopper here deals with all of the Despair, all of the Paralysis. The Rainbow Shield, we have the Kuzan that can deal with it. We have the Paralysis and Rainbow Shield removal with Katakuri. The Luffy on this team removes Rainbow Shield as well, and then Luffy can switch into the Captain and be a 5 times Captain, which is really strong. Super Type Saba with his Super Type Special giving us the Chain Multiplicative buff. Saba gives Color Affinity. We got Boa, which can give an attack boost, but we need to use Boa Special on Battle 2 though. That is the key, because we do need to use the Love effect to get around the Rainbow Shield on Battle 2. So that means we won't have Boa's attack boost for the final stage. So that obviously is a little bit of a downside. So realistically, you could probably shuffle some of these characters around to get a little bit better buffs. But ultimately, these characters, this is a very, very easy fight. This is the easiest fight out of all of the Kizunas. So, there's definitely more flexibility in these teams you're going to be seeing. Now we have another really powerful team versus Int, and this is using a very similar strategy where we're using Boa Special on Battle 2 to get around the Rainbow Shield, and then on the boss stage, we have Chopper once again to get around the Despair and the Paralysis. We have the Luffy with his supportive Ace, and that will remove 2 turns of Rainbow Shield. So that plus the Sanji special does remove all the Rainbow Shield. Sanji provides Chain Boundary as well. We have Yamato, which can change our matching slot into Wano, also providing a chain boost. And then Usopp and Yasop, we can get their conditional boost to activate because we have a Free Spirit Captain. Luffy, because we have all of these Straw Hats, we can get the massive attack boost, massive orb boost, the buffed version of the attack and orb boost. This team is gonna hit ridiculously hard. This is a fantastic team, does a lot of damage, and also using the point boosted Captain, which is fantastic. And then the final team of the video is gonna be using the boosters with Bonnie and also Boa Hancock. So once again, Boa Special to get around the gimmick of Battle 2. On the final boss stage, we're gonna be using Bonnie, which gets around the Despair and the Paralysis for us, which is great, which obviously just replaced by Chopper. The Rainbow Shield, Kinemon Denjiro, they remove all turns of the Rainbow Shield and they provide an orb boost to Free Spirit and Slasher, so that works out perfectly for this team. Usopp and Yasop again for their conditional boost, and then Luffy is basically a filler character. You can replace him with whatever you want. We actually don't have color affinity. Well, we do, because we do have the super type of Boa. I am mistaken. We do have the Boa super type, of course, for color affinity. So we have color affinity, attack, orb, conditional boost, and kind of a bit of a chain boost as well with that Brook with the chain multiplicative buff. So Luffy could be exchanged with another Luffy that potentially is a chain booster. You do want a Luffy though, so you can actually activate the super type special of the Boa Hancock. But either way, it's a pretty awesome team, and we'll see how things go, but this team shouldn't have any issues with this fight. So with all that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all of the content that I post on my channel, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.